Good morning, Europe. I'm Raul San. It's the 25th of April. It's great to have you with us. Let's take a look at your top stories today.
French President Emmanuel Macron says he'll work to unite the nation after defeating far-right challenger Marine Le Pen to secure a second five-year term. In Slovenia, a projected landslide for an opposition Liberal Party in Sunday's parliamentary vote. It's a major defeat for the country's populist Prime Minister. And US Secretaries of State and Defense hold talks in Kyiv with President Zelenskyy. It's the highest level American delegation to visit Ukraine since the start of the war.
French President Emmanuel Macron has pledged to unite France after a decisive victory against the nationalist far right. The country's Interior Ministry predicted the 44-year-old secured a majority with 58.5 to 41.1% of the vote. He praised the electorate who gave him 5 more years at the Élysée Palace.
Finally, I speak to all those who voted for Madame Le Pen who are disappointed this evening. No, don't boo anybody. I have always asked you not to boo. Because from now, I'm no longer a candidate on one side, but the president of all.
Le Pen conceded defeat, although didn't congratulate Macron. However, the 53-year-old claimed Sunday's election a success after winning more than 12 million votes with 43%. She vowed to continue the political fight and never abandon France.
With more than 43% of the vote, tonight's result is in itself a brilliant victory. Tonight we launch the great electoral battle of the legislative elections. I will lead this battle alongside Jordan Bordel with all those who had the courage to oppose Emmanuel Macron in the second round. In short, with all those who have the nation at heart.
Macron will now focus on creating a package before the summer to ease the cost of living and the parliamentary elections in June. He is seeking a majority for his centrist grouping.
With this victory, Emmanuel Macron has just become the first French president to be re-elected in 15 years. And his re-election is significant, not only because this was a tight race, but also because this is a deeply divided country where all major political parties have all but vanished from the political spectrum. Speaking in front of the Eiffel Tower on Sunday evening, Emmanuel Macron thanked his supporters for trusting him after 5 difficult years, and also thanked those who voted for him only to block the far right, promising to be the president of all French. Emmanuel Macron also promised the next term won't be a continuation of the last 5 years, but something new, something better, something that will make France more independent and Europe stronger. He also acknowledged the anger and the division of the last 5 years, but promised to make his next term historic. He said that this is going to be a project that must be led with courage, but it's going to be a project that won't leave anyone behind. Emmanuel Macron, who performed a very symbolic moment in this victory night when he walked towards his victory speech. He conveyed a very different image from 5 years ago when he walked alone towards the stage to the sound of Ode to Joy, the anthem of the European Union. This evening he was walking surrounded by the First Lady, but also by a group of French youth for whom Emmanuel Macron promised to transform this country. Annelise Borges in Paris for Euronews.
For the European Union, the re-election of Emmanuel Macron is a relief. Many leaders and officials were quick to react after the announcement of the incumbent president's success against far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. They all praised the French president's European commitment. For the 27, this means that in the very short term, the work of the French presidency of the EU will continue unabated. In the longer term, the result of this presidential election announces Paris' desire to continue and even accelerate integration between the member states. In the face of the war in Ukraine, Emmanuel Macron is likely to persevere in advancing European defence. The French president also wants to put the climate at the heart of his action to reduce European dependence on Russian gas and oil and increase the share of renewable energy. In this effort, Emmanuel Macron can rely on the Franco-German couple. The electoral calendar will allow Paris and Berlin to plan together for the years to come. But behind this electoral success, the French president and the European institutions will not be able to spare themselves an in-depth reflection on the distrust expressed by Marine Le Pen's voters against the common project. The Union will have to provide innovative answers if it wants to reassure citizens in France and in the member states. Grégoire Laurie, Euronews, Brussels.
France was not the only country to hold national elections. In Slovenia, the Liberal Freedom Movement Party celebrate after exit poll results show that they have won the general election. The newcomers received around 34% of the vote. The leader, Robert Golob, made his address via video call, as he is believed to have COVID.
We have not had voter turnout like this in 20 years. And that says it all. It tells you that people really want change. And people trust us as the only ones who can bring those changes. And don't forget, hope gives birth to expectations. And hope gives birth to our responsibilities.
Slovenia's right-wing populist Prime Minister, Janez Janša, had hoped to win a fourth term in office. But the SDS party only secured more than 23% of the vote.
We will never behave the way the opposition did over the past 2 years. Slovenia fought the pandemic and will receive everything except support and cooperation. Even in opposition, the Slovenian Democratic Party will behave differently in a statesman-like manner.
Experts say the election's 68% turnout was above the national average.
The US Secretary of State and the US Defense Secretary met with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in Kyiv last night. It's the highest level visit from a US official to the country since the Russian invasion began. Zelenskyy said before Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin's arrival that he was hopeful for weapons, not cake.
Why is it essential that leaders come to us? I will answer you pragmatically. You cannot come to us empty-handed right now. We are expecting specific things and specific weapons. I believe that we will be able to obtain from the United States what we agreed on or part of an arms package for Ukraine.
Authorities will try and establish humanitarian routes out of Mariupol on Monday. However, as the country enters its third month of war, the UN has called for an immediate stop to fighting in the besieged port city to allow more than 100,000 trapped civilians to leave. In a tweet on Sunday, the UN Crisis Coordinator for Ukraine, Amin Awad, wrote the lives of tens of thousands, including women, children and older people, are at stake at Mariupol. They must be allowed to safely evacuate now, today. Tomorrow could be too late. According to reports, Russian troops continue to bombard the Azovstal steel plant at the weekend, where around 1,000 civilians are hiding. However, Russia continues to deny its troops are targeting civilians, as Russian President Vladimir Putin attended an Orthodox Easter ceremony in Moscow. But in Ukraine, the fierce fighting casts a shadow over the traditional festivities, with no sign from Russia of easing their attacks.
This is Good Morning Europe. Stay tuned, we'll have plenty more after the break.